This is a brief discussion of nuisance provided for under Articles 694 to 707 of the New Civil Code. Article 694. A nuisance is any act, omission, establishment, business, condition of property, or anything else which, number 1, injures or endangers the health or safety of others, or number 2, annoys or offends the senses, or number 3, shocks, defies, or disregards decency or morality, or number 4, obstructs or interferes with the free passage of any public highway or street or any body of water, or number 5, hinders or impairs the use of property. A nuisance is one of the most serious hindrances to the enjoyment of life and property. At present, nuisance may be used to refer either to the harm caused or to that which causes the harm, or both. Based on decided cases, the following are examples of nuisance as enumerated by the Civil Code. Examples of nuisance that injures or endangers the health or safety of others are a house in danger of falling, fireworks or explosive factory, houses and similar constructions without building permits, and without provisions for the disposal of waste matter, particularly if constructed near the main water pipelines. Examples of nuisance that annoys or offends the senses are too much horn blowing, a leather factory, garbage cans, and a pumping station with a very high chimney. Examples of nuisance that shocks, defies, or disregards decency or morality are burlesque performance, public exhibition of a naked woman, as when a movie artist strips nude in the lobby of a movie house for the sake of publicizing a particular movie, and a naked female's picture shown for purposes of commercial gain. Examples of nuisance that obstructs or interferes with the free passage of any public highway or street or any body of water are houses constructed on public streets, and market stalls and residences constructed on a public plaza. And finally, nuisance that hinders or impairs the use of property are illegal constructions on another's land. Article 695. Nuisance is either public or private. A public nuisance affects a community or neighborhood or any considerable number of persons, although the extent of the annoyance, danger, or damage upon individuals may be unequal. A private nuisance is one that is not included in the foregoing definition. Nuisance can be nuisance per se or nuisance per accidents. A nuisance per se is always a nuisance, for example, a house of prostitution, while a nuisance per accidents is a nuisance only because of the location or other circumstances, for example, a noisy factory in a residential district. Another classification of nuisance is it is either public or private. A public nuisance affects a community or neighborhood or any considerable number of persons, while a private nuisance is that which is not public. What about attractive nuisance? An attractive nuisance is a dangerous instrumentality or appliance which is likely to attract children at play. The doctrine behind this states that one who maintains on his estate or premises an attractive nuisance without exercising due care to prevent children from playing therewith or resorting thereto is liable to a child of tender years who is injured thereby, even if the child is technically a trespasser in the premises. The attractiveness is an invitation to children, therefore safeguards to prevent danger must therefore be set up. A swimming pool or water tank is not an attractive nuisance, for while it is attractive, it cannot be a nuisance being merely an imitation of the work of nature. Article 696. Every successive owner or possessor of property who fails or refuses to abate a nuisance in that property started by a former owner or possessor is liable therefore in the same manner as the one who created it. The successor to be held liable must knowingly fail or refuse to abate the nuisance. For example, if a person sets up a nuisance on his land, then leases the property to another, he cannot escape liability. Moreover, continuation of the nuisance after the lease becomes effective likewise makes the lessor liable. The lessee will be liable only when he knowingly allows its existence. The same is true with a purchaser. Article 697. The abatement of a nuisance does not preclude the right of any person injured to recover damages for its past existence. The remedies of abatement and damages are cumulative, that is, both may be demanded. Article 698. Lapse of time cannot legalize any nuisance, whether public or private. The action to abate a public or private nuisance is not extinguished by prescription. Article 699. The remedies against a public nuisance are: number 1, a prosecution under the revised penal code or any local ordinance, or number 2, a civil action, or number 3, abatement without judicial proceedings. Article 700. The district health officer shall take care that one or all of the remedies against a public nuisance are availed of. Though the Civil Code says District Health Officer, still under the revised charter for Manila, the proper official insofar as illegal constructions or houses on public streets are concerned is the city engineer. If the district health officer or the city engineer, as the case may be, is not consulted beforehand in the case of the extrajudicial abatement of a nuisance, the person doing the abating are not necessarily liable. They would be liable for damages only if, as stated under Article 707, the abatement is carried out with unnecessary injury, or if the alleged nuisance is later declared by the courts to be not a real nuisance. Article 701. If a civil action is brought by reason of the maintenance of a public nuisance, such action shall be commenced by the city or municipal mayor. Article 702. The district health officer shall determine whether or not abatement without judicial proceedings is the best remedy against a public nuisance. In the City of Manila, the city engineer is the official concerned regarding illegal constructions, but in other places it is the district or city health officer. Article 703. A private person may file an action on account of a public nuisance if it is especially injurious to himself. Ordinarily, it is the mayor who must bring the civil action to abate a public nuisance, but a private individual can also do so if the public nuisance is especially injurious to himself. The action to be brought by the private individual may be for injunction, abatement, or for damages. In both cases, of course, he must show special damage to himself. Article 704. Any private person may abate a public nuisance which is especially injurious to him by removing or, if necessary, by destroying the thing which constitutes the same without committing a breach of the peace or doing unnecessary injury. But it is necessary, number 1, that demand be first made upon the owner or possessor of the property to abate the nuisance. Number 2, that such demand has been rejected. Number 3, that the abatement be approved by the district health officer and executed with the assistance of the local police. And number 4, that the value of the destruction does not exceed 3,000 pesos. Article 705. The remedies against a private nuisance are: 1, a civil action, or 2, abatement without judicial proceedings. Article 706. Any person injured by a private nuisance may abate it by removing, or if necessary, by destroying the thing which constitutes the nuisance, without committing a breach of the peace or doing unnecessary injury. However, it is indispensable that the procedure for extrajudicial abatement of a public nuisance by a private person be followed. Observe that criminal prosecution is not mentioned. However, if indeed a crime has been committed as defined by the revised penal code, criminal prosecution can proceed. On the part of the defendant, the following defenses may be raised. 1. Estoppel or public necessity. 2. The non-existence of the nuisance. And 3. Impossibility of abatement. Article 707. A private person or a public official extrajudicially abating a nuisance shall be liable for damages: 1. If he causes unnecessary injury, or 2. If an alleged nuisance is later declared by the courts to be not a real nuisance. Note that the person liable for damages may be a private person or a public official. This is the end of this lecture. Thank you.